Hello everyone, and thank you for joining today's webinar, Introducing Your New Smartsheet Experience. My name is Anna, and I'm a Product Marketing Manager here at Smartsheet. Our agenda today is focused on exploring the new Smartsheet. So, as I'm sure you're aware, we recently released a new experience, which includes a modern, updated new look, improvements to Smartsheet navigation, as well as a home experience that's been tailored for the work that you're managing in Smartsheet. We'll take a look at all of that, and I'm also going to take the opportunity today to spend a little bit of time reviewing some of our more recent product releases. I'm also excited to announce that we just released baselines this week, and we will have a webinar coming up all about that topic as well, and we'll include a link to register for that webinar in the follow-up email to today's session. With the new Smartsheet experience, we've reimagined the design of Smartsheet to really help you and your team get more done with less noise and, of course, a more beautiful, delightful experience. So some of the themes of what we're going to talk about today are really the starting points to make sure that Smartsheet has a consistent, scalable, and, of course, quick interface for you to work in. So we're working to make things easier to find and reduce the number of clicks it takes for you to find them. With this new updated navigation, you're able to find things faster. So we consolidated the most used features and navigation elements all into a single new navigation bar that's accessible by default. So you are no longer clicking to pull up this bar. It's always there for you, so you can easily locate items that you need to work in, recents, favorites, your account settings, and more. Included in the navigation bar, we've also centralized your notifications that previously were located in the top right of your Smartsheet. The notifications panel is going to include sheet sharing, conversation, proofing requests, automations, reminders, and more. We've also updated this section to provide more context so you can get all the information you need before acting on the automations that you're receiving. You will also find a new home section, and this is going to be the default landing page. So this is going to be the first thing you see when you're signed into Smartsheet. This is also personalized. So you'll be able to view, act on, or dismiss requests that have been sent to you. And you can also see requests that you've sent, view them, or cancel them. To the right side of this home section, you will find a suggested for you section, and that's going to be customized based on your activity in Smartsheet. And you can click on the three-dot menu in any of those items to select whether you want to include it in those top 10. The goal of this new home experience is to surface the things that are most important to you. So this is really your home base when you're working in the Smartsheet platform. In addition to these overarching user experience enhancements, so the left panel, as well as this new home section and the updated notification section, we've also redesigned the actual items you work in. So reports got redesigned a little bit earlier this year, dashboards a little bit after that, both of which we are going to look at when we navigate into our demo, and now sheets have been redesigned. So in your sheets, you're going to find the same functionality, but we've updated the look to be more fresh, and just as I mentioned, we've added more white space and modernized the icons, fonts, and colors that we're using in Smartsheet to make it much easier to work in a sheet and to find the information that you're looking for. We've also updated our feature bar, which is that right panel that you're going to find within a sheet or within a report that'll give you quick access to comments, attachments, sheet summary, activity log, and more. As we move into our demo in just a moment, I do want to talk about some of the recent product releases that we're going to see in our demo as well. So as I mentioned a moment ago, we recently updated dashboards, which we will take a look at today. And with dashboards, we've also simplified the user interface, so really cleaned it up and made dashboards easier to work in and create. We've moved the widget editor into the right panel, and this is a really big change because previously, as you worked in your dashboard, you would edit a widget, save, and then see what the dashboard looks like, and really it was a lot of time going back and forth. With the widget editor in the right panel, you're able to customize and work in your dashboard in real time, so see the changes you're making without having to click back and forth. Lastly, we also introduced custom colors to dashboards. So that was one of our most popular customer requests. And within a dashboard, you can now customize the colors that are represented to align with your own brand colors. Earlier this year, we also announced an exciting new capability within Smartsheet called Work Apps. And Work Apps is a solution that lets you create an easy to navigate, no code app. It's a way to package the items that you have in Smartsheet for any given process. So if you are managing a program, for example, and anytime you are inviting someone to participate, you are sharing several sheets, reports, dashboards, forms, as well as documents outside of Smartsheet, Work Apps makes it really easy to combine all of that into a single app that you share, and you're also going to tailor access on roles. So it's a really great way to share a single link, and anyone you've shared that with has a defined role and are going to see different things within your app based on their role. So in addition to several of these new Smartsheet experience items that we have just talked about, we'll also take a moment to look at this new dashboards user interface, and I'll pull up a work app to give you a demo of what that capability looks like as well, to get you all caught up on some of these new capabilities as you're creating your work within Smartsheet. We're going to start our demo today in the Smartsheet Solution Center. And as we talked about in our slides, our left panel, you'll notice, is always accessible for us. And in the Solution Center, by clicking the plus sign, I am able to browse or search for templates that I can use for my own work in Smartsheet. Today, I'm going to use the project tracking and roll-up template set. So if this is one that you would like to use for your own work, just go ahead and visit the Solution Center anytime and search for project tracking. So before we move into looking in these different items within our template set, I'll point out a few things. One of the biggest things that we considered as we updated the Smartsheet interface is making sure that it is clean and easy to understand. So we have made sure that there's white space to make it easier to work, and we've also added in some additional color coding to our items so you can really easily see if you need to locate your project plan sheet, for example. It's going to be easy to locate. You can see the reports with the newly updated icon and a separate dashboard icon as well. I'll take a moment and open up our sheet in a separate. First, let's continue talking about the newly updated navigation panel. When you first sign into Smartsheet anytime, you're going to start out in our home section. And this is the most custom part of Smartsheet because this is where you can really easily get to work and really easily start taking actions or completing tasks. In the home section, you're going to see requests that have been sent to you. So this might be an update request or a proofing request or an approval request. You can look through these, take action. So as I select open request, I'll have access to review and submit. And if I don't need to fulfill this anymore, I can dismiss it so it is no longer a request that is in my backlog. Similarly, I can also toggle over and see any requests that I have sent to others. And I can view these requests, or if they're no longer needed, cancel the request. To the right side of my home section, you'll see that Smartsheet has used machine learning to identify the 10 top items that you're going to want to access on an ongoing basis within Smartsheet. This will be based on the actions that you take within Smartsheet, but I will mention you can click on that 3-dot menu and remove it by selecting Don't Suggest This. Continuing down our navigation, we're going to come to the notifications panel. And notifications have been moved from the right side of your screen into the left panel to make sure that you really have a one-stop shop for all of the actions that you want to take, rather than having to navigate from one corner of your screen to the other. Here, you're going to see a variety of notifications. So anytime an item has been shared with you, or somebody mentions you within the comments on a sheet, or sends you a proofing request, or sends you an alert, a reminder, an update, or an approval request using Smartsheet automation. All of that can be found here in the notification section. You can click on request. So similarly to our home section, this is the more actionable section of your notifications. And we've made these easier to act on. You can actually view your entire request here and take action. Anything that you see in the notification center is also available if you have the Smartsheet app. And notifications will all be located here when you're logged into Smartsheet or when you're working in the app. And as the default, they do also get emailed to you. Every individual can also customize how they receive notifications. So in addition or instead of email, you can enable additional options like receiving notifications within Microsoft Teams or Google Chat, using the Smartsheet mobile app to receive push notifications, and more. And you can do all of that still working within the navigation panel by clicking on your account settings and navigating to personal settings. Continuing down through the navigation panel, we can navigate back to browse anytime to see any items that we have either created or been shared to, and for any items that we've recently accessed or items that we have pinned, which will always be at the top here, we can navigate to the recent section. Lastly, we can also head over to the favorite section. So this works exactly like it did prior to the UI change. At the bottom here, I will also point out our launcher, and this is an easy way to locate the Solution Center as well, which is where we can create new sheets, find templates and template sets, and more, as well as access to other Smartsheet apps that you may have access to. So our work apps, calendar app, control center, and more. You can access the Smartsheet Learning Center by selecting Help, and we'll actually come back to that a little bit later today when we talk about webinar programs and resources that are available to you to continue your Smartsheet education. Now, so far we've looked at kind of the overarching UI changes. So really the different ways that all of Smartsheet has been updated for a more modern, easy to work with interface. And now I want to move into that project plan sheet that we had opened in a separate tab here. Sheets as well as reports have also been updated. So you can see here that we have cleaned up our sheet, provided more space, and updated the icons that we're working with. So you'll see in our left panel, we have provided more white space, and you're able to really easily locate if there is an attachment, a comment, a proof, or for example, you can see my rows are locked, or we have resource management alerts that we need to know about. The feature bar or the right panel within your sheet has been updated, and this is where you can locate, for example, conversations and attachments as well as proofs. So those are available at the sheet level or here per row in the left side, as well as additional capabilities like our activity log, our sheet summary, and any integrations that we have included within our sheet. Before we move on to looking at a few of those other Smartsheet items, so reports, dashboards, as well as work apps, I do want to point out our newest release, which is the baselines capability, and that'll be included in project plans that you're working in within Smartsheet. We will have an in-depth project management as well as baselines webinar coming up in early June, and as I mentioned earlier, in our follow-up email to this webinar where we share a recording of this webinar and additional resources, we will include a registration link so you can join us for the Baselines webinar as well. By adding baselines into our project plan, we now have a set start and finish date for all of our tasks. So while my team is going to work in the actual dates, and we all know dates can change as we complete tasks early, on time, or late, we'll have our baseline columns here as a comparison. And Smartsheet will also compare those for you to calculate a variance and really make sure that your project is completed on time. We'll go in depth on how to accomplish all of that in our upcoming webinar, and I hope you'll be able to join us for that one. If you are working in a sheet on a smaller monitor, one tip that I'll provide here is to also navigate to the bottom left and select the full screen view. And this gives you a little bit more space to work in and focus within your sheet. And then of course you can minimize back down to regular normal size, continue to navigate to other Smartsheet items. Now let's head on back to our browse section, and this is where we had downloaded our template set, which includes this project plan sheet that we've worked in, as well as several different reports and a dashboard. We'll take a look at a report next, and you'll see that reports have also been updated, so some of those similar features that we looked at in our sheet, with our feature bar on the right side, as well as some of these collaboration columns over on the left. In addition to UI, I do want to point out that reports have also had some new capabilities that have been added in, and we did do a whole focused webinar on that, but here I'll just show a little bit of it. With a report, you're able to bring together rows from multiple sheets and create a filtered view. So you're selecting data from specific sheets, which columns you want to include, and a filter. So if you want to create a report of just tasks that are at risk, for example, this is where you would add a filter and filter by your at-risk column, and so on. The newest capabilities here are the ability to group by a common value. So for example, if I want to group tasks by who they're assigned to, as well as to summarize, which means to incorporate functions that will summarize each of the groups that we've created. The great thing about incorporating summaries is you don't actually have to write a formula. So these are pre-built into the report capabilities. For example, I'll add a summary that's going to add up the total duration for all of the tasks assigned to each person. I can also add additional summaries using any of these values to any of the columns that I've included within my report. So with reports, we've seen now the updated UI that's part of the new Smartsheet experience, and we've gone back just a little bit to catch up on a recent release that enables you to group by common values, as well as to incorporate summaries to better understand the rows that you're seeing in your report. Lastly, we'll head back into our browse section again to look at the last item that was included in our template set, which is the dashboard. Dashboards went through a UI update pretty recently, and you will still notice when you're logged into Smartsheet that you do have the option here in the top left to toggle back to the classic Smartsheet view. Aside from that ability to toggle, which is a 60-day window for you to work across the two views, make sure your dashboard looks exactly how you need it to, we've also consolidated toolbars that you're going to work in when working in your dashboards at the very top here. And when you're editing your dashboards, there's a couple important things to know. So the most important here is as you are adding or editing the widgets within your dashboard, you're going to do that here in the right panel. By making this change to edit these widgets only in the right panel, you're now able to work within the context of the dashboard. So you're no longer working in a pop-up to make edits and then save and look at your dashboard and go back and forth. Dashboards now also include custom colors, and you can incorporate custom colors into the text that you're working in within your dashboard, as well as any of the graphs and charts that you're going to be incorporating. Before we finish up with the demo of these new UI changes that Smartsheet has rolled out most recently, as well as the earlier updates to reports and to dashboards, I want to head back into our Browse section and introduce Work Apps, which was released earlier this year. Work Apps are a no-code way to really bring together the different items that you have both within and outside of Smartsheet into a single solution. So one example of this is our ticketing app, and a ticketing app in Smartsheet might include a sheet or multiple sheets for tracking the work related to our ticketing process. And of course, any ticketing or request management process kicks off with a form. A lot of the time, anything you're doing in Smartsheet, you're going to create a report or multiple reports to really look at the data that you're working with in different ways. With Work Apps, you're able to bring together all of these different items, as well as external content that is outside of Smartsheet, and also define roles. So as someone who is an admin on this ticketing app, you'll see that I can see that we've defined 4 separate roles. And anyone that you share this ticketing work app with will log in and only have access to their specific role that's been defined. So this is a great way to package together everything you need for any process that you're managing in Smartsheet, and make sure that even though you're sharing a single link or a single app, anyone who visits it will have access to the items they need, in addition to some of the newer capabilities that I mentioned in today's demo. So baselines, which we will show in a future webinar. We've also recently released and held a webinar about our new DocuSign integration, which enables you to capture signatures using the Smartsheet document builder capability by integrating with the DocuSign e-signature capability. Lastly, we've recently released several new capabilities for Smartsheet automation, and these capabilities are opening up a whole new way to use automation, where previously you may have sent an alert or requested an update, really moving collaboration forward by notifying or gathering information from others. And automated actions now are able to actually update data within your sheet. So you can tell Smartsheet, when this action takes place, assign someone to this row, or when this action takes place, record a date so I know that action took place. We do have a webinar coming up on May 20th to dive into some of those details. So whether you're new to automation or it's an area where you'd like to include some of these new capabilities to actually change the cells within your Smartsheet with automation, rather than writing a formula like you may have previously done, we have included a registration link over to the right side of this webinar to do that. To go along with the new Smartsheet experience release, as well as some of the other new product enhancements and new trainings that we're talking about today, I also want to share that we have recently added some new templates that you can find in the Solution Center. There are 5 new vaccine tracking templates available, which you can visit the Solution Center or smartsheet.com/vaccines for more information. And we've also recently added a social media monitoring template set, which you can use to provide tracking and visibility to a variety of social media campaigns and track all of the key metrics, so spend, return, and engagement. And to locate that one, just search social media in the Smartsheet Solution Center, available by clicking the plus button in that left navigation menu within Smartsheet. Before we finish up for today, I do want to also mention several additional learning opportunities that are new to Smartsheet as well. We have recently expanded our Smart Start onboarding series. So we do offer 6 separate topics that you can join us for a best practices overview of working in sheets, reports, and dashboards, collaborating in Smartsheet, or using Smartsheet specifically for project management. For any of the webinars that I have mentioned that are open for registration, so the Smart Start webinar as well as the automation webinar, just head on over to smartsheet.com/webinars anytime to sign up. If you'd prefer to watch any of our webinars on demand or you can't join us for a live session, when you're signed into Smartsheet, navigate over to the Help section anytime. Here in our Learning Center, you'll see 2 learning tracks here, Smart Start Onboarding as well as Best Practice Webinars, to catch up on any webinar recordings you may have missed. I'll also point out, in addition to our Smart Start series, we do also have a new onboarding for free users. So this is a great resource if you are collaborating with users that you're not planning to grant a license to, but you do need them to understand what Smartsheet is and what their role is as a free user who will not be creating sheets or owning processes, but maybe updating your sheets, completing forms, receiving automation, and more. You can access the Learning Center anytime at smartsheet.com/learning. For anyone who's looking for more hands-on, activity-based, or instructor-led training as well as Smartsheet certification, visit Smartsheet University at smartsheet.com/training. And to connect with others about how you're using Smartsheet or to ask questions, visit our Smartsheet community or contact our support team. Coming up in June, we will also have a special edition of our annual user conference, Engage, which we typically hold in the fall. To learn more about this virtual event, visit smartsheet.com/engage. Now, we have come to the end of our time today, and I want to thank everyone who's able to join. I know I mentioned several different upcoming webinars as well as events today, and I hope we're able to see you again at some of those. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.